Tomato, tomato, however you say it, it's in season and perfect for making into a fresh salsa. Hi friend, my garden doesn't produce much, but it does give me a few tomatoes and this is our favorite way to use them up. This fresh salsa comes together quickly and uses simple ingredients from my garden or pantry. Plus, it's my kids' favorite and any way I can get them to eat vegetables is a win in my book. I'm mostly using paste tomatoes today, like Romas. They're drier than slicing tomatoes, which helps prevent the salsa from becoming watery. I've already washed them, and I like to remove the cores since they can be a little bit woody, especially with larger slicers. I have a little coring tool, and while I'm not normally a single-use gadget advocate, this one has been really worth it. While cutting tomatoes, I go pole to pole for Romas, since they usually just have one or two seed compartments. That makes it easier to scrape the seeds out. For slicing tomatoes, though, I cut around the equator. That way, all those extra seed sections are open and easier to clean out. Removing the pulpy seed mass isn't just about texture, it's also about flavor. The gel around the tomato seeds hold a lot of water and dilutes the salsa. Less water means more concentrated tomato taste. Roma-style tomatoes really are the better choice here. They're firm, meaty, low on seeds, and have hardly any core. That said, slicers and even cherry tomatoes work in a pinch when the watery mass of seeds have been removed. For peppers, I'm using a banana pepper today. It's mild, thin-skinned, and adds flavor without heat. Normally I use a red bell pepper for mild salsa or jalapenos if I want more kick. You can pick whichever pepper matches your heat preference. Just slice off the top, scoop out the seeds, and it's ready to mince. Now, you can use a little chopper like I am, but honestly, a small batch like this is just as easy to do by hand and cleans up faster. I like to use the chopper so my kids can help. I mince both the onion and the peppers finely so they can blend evenly into the salsa. For this batch, I'm using about half an onion, left over from another meal, which is perfect since I only have about a pound of tomatoes. I do a chunkier chop on the tomatoes. Depending on the variety of salsa you're making, they will have different textures. A pico de gallo should be more salad-like and chunky, while salsa should lean finer and more saucy. I like a mix of textures, making this more like a salsa fresca. Next up is a lime. I love adding the zest from one or two limes. The zest has the essential oils, so it gives a bigger punch of lime flavor than just juice. It also makes a good substitute for cilantro if you're someone who can't stand the taste. Once zested, I juice the lime into the salsa. I like to get some pulp in there too. It adds freshness and body. If you're out of fresh limes, bottled lime juice works in a pinch. I also like to add in a pinch of citric acid. Not only does it boost the acidity quickly, but I find that bottled juice and some limes really aren't that tart. Be careful though, a little goes a long way. Now it's time for salt and pepper. Be generous here, but always taste with the chip you plan to serve it with. Chips are salty on their own, so if you taste salsa with a spoon, you might end up oversalting. I usually involve my kids in the taste test, which can take a few rounds of tasting and adjusting. Not only does it teach them how to season food, it also makes sure the flavor is something they'll actually eat. Once everything's balanced, I add cilantro. I didn't grow any this year, so I'm using freeze-dried cilantro. If you've never tried freeze-dried herbs, they're a big step up from regular dried herbs, coming closer to fresh in flavor. They cost more, but they're worth keeping around for off-season cooking. At this point, the salsa is technically ready to eat, but it's even better after marinating a few hours in the fridge. That time lets the flavors mingle and mellow. And if you want to experiment, you can even let it ferment. A naturally fermented salsa develops tangy complexity and adds probiotics, similar to sauerkraut or kimchi. I like to store mine in a glass jar. Before sealing, I press everything down with the back of a spoon to make sure all the chunks are submerged in the tomato and lime juices. That way, the flavor distributes evenly as it rests. Especially important if you are fermenting. This salsa keeps for a few days in the fridge and it's perfect for tacos, burrito bowls, salads, 7-layer dip, or just scooping up with chips. And the best part, it doesn't heat up your kitchen in the summer. Check out my tortilla wrap, taco chicken, and guacamole videos linked in the cards and show notes to make this a meal. What's your favorite way to use a fresh salsa? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear how you eat it. And if you love cooking with fresh ingredients or making pantry staples stretch further, be sure to subscribe. I've got more recipes coming your way.